All right, so there is a lab that I like to do at the beginning of the electricity unit, which is, I call it the Genecon Intro Lab. Currently, these are all basically set up already to be the Genecon Intro Lab, more or less. The things that are missing are capacitors that we can use. And also there are some resistors that are not enough. We don't have 6 of them, we only have 4. If that, we might only have 3. Not totally sure. But these are part of the lab right here. And the idea is you use this Genecon to create electricity. And then you can feel, with the Genecon, you can feel the resistance of the circuit. Or rather, you can feel the flow of current. So when the flow of current is happening, that, like, you are basically the one producing the current when you spin. Right? So right now, there's nothing hooked up. Super easy to spin. And that's high resistance, right? High resistance, very, very high resistance. Essentially infinite resistance when it's like that. But if I hook the leads to each other, now it's very low resistance, and now it's hard. It's difficult for me to spin it. Why is that? Because I'm supplying the energy. All right, I'm supplying the energy to flow the current. And it's going to be a pretty high amount of current when it's just 2 wires connected to each other. Lots of current can flow. So the students can kind of get the understanding that energy is needed to make current flow. And there is going to be a very low resistance to the flow of current when it's very difficult to spin. So if it's very hard to spin this, that's going to mean low resistance, and that means the current is pretty high. If it's easy to spin, that means it's high resistance and the current is low. All right, so I already have these, I still have these in baskets from when I did this lab, I don't know, a couple months ago. So I'll probably pack these up already in the baskets so that they're kind of ready to go, more or less. This big slinky is just meant to be a long conductor so they can find out how does the length of the conductor affect the resistance of the conductor. So it's basically like length as it relates to resistance. Not a numerical, but a qualitative measure, not a quantitative measure. So this will not give you a number of resistance, but it will let you know whether there is more or less. More resistance for a long one or less resistance for a long conductor. So these all have a big slinky in them already. That's why it's there. So that's that. The other thing you need for that lab is one of these circuit boards. I use these to show to show resistance. Oh, hey, look, there's a Genecon inside this particular one. That shouldn't be there. Good to find that. Okay, so in here we have resistors of different amounts, and they're already labeled with the amounts. So you can just hook up your Genecon to the post on one side and then the post on the other side. And hooking up to those 2 posts, put this resistor into the circuit. And then you will have the current going through this resistor by hooking up to these guys here. So I like to use this vernier circuit board for part of that lab. You can also see that there's cords in here as well, which is nice and convenient. So, circuit boards. Most likely these will be inside that cabinet over there. Right, somewhere in there when you're looking for them later. I have not finished cleaning up by any means, obviously. You can see all this mess everywhere. So, I'm doing all these videos like essentially just after classes have ended at the end of last week. So, okay, that is the Genecon lab.